Alright, so in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to do real-time connections using SvelteKit and Pocketbase. So the first thing we're going to do is open up the terminal and run the command npm init svelte. So then we just press enter right here, and then we just select skeleton project with TypeScript syntax and no additional options. Then let's install the dependencies by running npm install Pocketbase and Zod. So once everything's done installing, all we're going to do is just run npm run dev to have the dev server up and running. So then go over to your browser and go over to pocketbase.io and go over to the documentation right up here and download the executable that you need for your system. So then I'm going to download the macOS one. So then once it's done installing and unzipping, you could drag this folder over here and go over to your editor and drag it to your file system and copy folder. So then we're going to rename this folder to just Pocketbase, and then we're going to open up a new terminal instance, open up that Pocketbase folder, and run /Pocketbase serve. So then let's open up the admin UI link. Wait, no, that was API. Let's open up the admin UI and let's close this tab right here. But so then once we're here, we're going to create a new collection called emojis. And then it's going to contain two fields. One of them is going to be a plain text, which is going to be the emoji, and it's going to be non-empty because every emoji document requires an emoji attached to it. So then we're also going to have a relation of vote. So then it's going to be users. So if you remember from my example in the beginning of the video, what we will do is have some emojis that you can vote, either vote or not vote for them, and you can see the votes in real time. So then it's going to be multiple because multiple users can subscribe or vote for the same emoji, but there's no need for it to be non-empty. So then we're gonna go to the API rules over here, and all we're gonna do is just unset the list and search, and also the view rule for admin only. We're gonna set them for everyone. So then we're just gonna hit create, and we're done with Pocketbase. So we can just close this tab right here, or actually just keep it open. So then we can actually close the terminal right here inside our source folder. Let's open up the app.d.ts file. And then what we're going to do is just uncomment locals and bring it to the top. And so then what we're going to do is just import Pocketbase and have two Pocketbase inside of locals. One of them is going to be a Pocketbase just standard, and one of them is going to be an admin connection to Pocketbase. So then we're going to press save. And also, right here in the file system, let's have a new file right here called .env. And in here, you're going to have two variables. One of them is going to be a Pocketbase private email, and the other one is going to be a password. So it's going to look something like this. Just make sure to fill in the information that you use to create your account in Pocketbase, and make sure to fill it in here. So in the source folder, let's create a new file called hooks.server.ts. So then right here, we could close the file system. So then the first thing we're going to do is just import everything we need, and also have a handle hook function that takes in two properties, or actually one property that's destructured and is destructured for the event and the result. So then we're going to have a connection to Pocketbase in the Pocketbase right here, and then we're going to create a try catch block loading the cookie or the auth store from the cookie right here, and then we're validating it. So you can see right here, we're just clearing it if there's any errors. So then we're going to create an admin connection to Pocketbase, and we're going to log in using the email and password that we created in the .env file. So then we just we just get the response from the resolve function, which we pass in the event that has the Pocketbase connections, and also we append the cookies for the Pocketbase into the header of the result. So then we're just going to return the response right here, and we can save and close. So then in the lib folder, let's create a new file called pocketbase.ts, and we could also remove the index.ts file. So then let's import everything we need and also create a PB store, which is going to contain a writable or undefined. So then inside the initial function, we're just going to say if there's the browser. So if we're in the browser, we're going to actually run the code, but if we're on the server, we can't run the code. So then we're going to create a Pocketbase instance, and then we're going to load the auth store from the cookie. And it seems like we're already doing it in the server, in the hooks server, but this is going to be on the client because remember, you can see that we're not running this code on the server. So then you see that we're setting the Pocketbase regardless of the result from the auth refresh. So then we can save this and close it. So now in the routes folder, let's create a new file. Let's create a new folder called auth. And in here, let's create a new file called plus layout.server.ts. So now in here, you can see that we're creating a load function, and if the user is actually logged in, we're redirecting them to the home page. So then we can save this. And now in the auth folder, let's create a new folder called create-account. And here we're going to create two files. One of them is going to be plus page dot server dot ts, and the other one is going to be plus page dot svelte. So then inside the plus page dot server, we're going to have the load function and also the server actions. So then let's import everything we need and also create account schema that's going to be the schema for the form that we need. So it's going to have a name, an email, and also a password. So you see the name is going to be a minimum of 1 character in length, the password 8, and also the email is going to need to be in an email format. So then we're going to create an object called actions. So it's going to take in one action called default, and then we're going to check to see if the user is actually logged in. So if the user is logged in, we just redirect them because we don't want them creating an account if they're already logged in. So then we're just going to create a form data object. So we're just going to get access to the form data in the style of an object. So then we're going to create a try catch block to run all the logic that we need. And also we parse it. We parse this form data we get from the client through our create account schema to validate, to make sure that this form data is actually valid. So then once we know it's valid, we check to see if the username has already been, if there's a user with the same name. So you can see that we're saying we're getting the first item that has the same name. So if a user has the same name, we're catching, because if there is no user with the same name, it'll just throw an error, but we don't want to throw an error. We want it to just be saying that it's just null. So you can see that it's a record model or undefined. So then now that we have everything we need, we just create an account like this. So you see that we just do the spread method on the create account schema on the create account data, and now we actually replace the password confirm, and we also set email visibility to false. So then we just auth with password, because just because we create an account doesn't mean we're logged into it. So we actually have to create the account and then logged into it. So then we actually have to catch some errors, and then we're just going to throw a redirect to the home page. So now we can close this file. So then let's open up the plus page.svelte file in the create account page. So then we're going to have a script tag with a lang property set to ts, and we're going to export the action data. So we're going to get back the error message if there is any. You can see that we can see the type or the shape of this action data if we hover over it. So then we're going to create a header and also a form that's going to take in 3 inputs. So you can see that in the schema, there's going to be 3 properties right here: name, email, and password. And there's 3 inputs, one with the name of email, and also name of password. You can see that it all matches up, and also a button to help us submit. And then we're just going to create a form right there. If there is a message or there is an error, we just display it. And also we're going to create a link to a login page just in case the user already has an account. So then we're also going to create a style tag, so that we're going to style the error in order so it can have a red text. So we can save this file and close it. So now in the auth folder, let's create a new folder called login. And now in here, we're going to create a file called page.server.ts. And then we're also going to create another file called pluspage.svelte. So then this login page.server.ts is actually going to be very similar to the create account one. So we could actually just copy this and paste it into here. And what we're going to do is just, when trying to log in, so we're just going to try to switch out some of the things that are inconsistent. So we're just going to throw away some of this code right here. And we're going to rename this to login form, login schema, I mean. And also we're going to remove the name object. And we're just going to set this to login schema. So now we can actually close this file, and we're going to do the same thing for the login page svelte. We're just going to copy this, paste it into here. And now we're just going to switch the title up to login. We're going to switch this. We're going to remove the name. And then we're going to say finally login. We're going to keep the error message. We're going to say don't have an account. And we're going to say create an account. So then we're going to link it to the create account page. So right there, as simple as that, that's already our auth flow. So if you want to test this out, we could actually open up the Node.js server. So right here, we're going to So now we just go like this. We go over to localhost. And now if we go to /auth/create an account. Now let's create an account. Let's do test@email.com, test. So now we're logged in. And you can see that we're redirected. And now if we try to go to all slash, I don't know, create account page right there, you can see that we're redirected back. So now that we have authentication set up, you could even check over here in the collection. We have a user set up over here. Now that we have authentication set up, now what we're going to do is in the routes folder, we're going to create 4 new files. One of them is going to be, we're actually going to create one file called plus layout dot. No, actually, the first thing we're going to do is create a file called types.ts. And what we're going to do is just export type emoji document. So this is just going to have the exact data that we need for this emoji. So you can see that it has an ID right here, an emoji, which is going to be text. You see it's a string, and also votes, which is a string array. And you might think that, oh, it's not a string array because it's a user array. But when Pocketbase sends us back data from a relation, it sends it by default as a string, which the strings are just the IDs of the relation or the ID of the user. So this basically, the votes is just a string or an array of user IDs. So in here, we're going to create a plus layout.svelte file. So we're going to create a svelte head element so that we can actually have some styles inside the head. So then we're just going to set the body with the margin of 0. So we're just going to have a slot. And now we can actually save this file. So now let's create a new file called plus page.server.ts. So now let's import everything we need, including the type that we created earlier. And then let's just load some of the functions right here. So let's load some of the data so that we know that if the user is not logged in, we're going to redirect them to the auth page so they can create an account. So then we're going to get the emojis that we have available. And then we're just going to return them. So we're going to get access to the emoji, so the actual emoji data. And then we're also going to get access to whoever liked it. So then we're also going to create an actions object, which is going to contain a default action, which we're going to check obviously if the user is logged in. And also we're going to get access to the form data and get one property from it, which is going to be emoji-id. And then in here, we're just going to say if the emoji ID is not a string, we're just going to return a fail. So then obviously now we know that the emoji ID is a string. Now we can actually, we're actually going to query it. We're actually going to get one, and we're going to check to see if the user has already liked this emoji. And then we're going to see if the user liked, obviously. So if the user has liked it, we're just going to remove the ID. Remove the like. So you can see that we're saying votes minus, so we can know that we're subtracting our vote from this. So then we're saying vote plus if we want to include it, because we know that in this block, the user has not liked this emoji. So now we can actually save this file. And now we could go over here in the routes folder and create one last file called plus page. Oh, actually, let's just open up the plus page.svelte file right here. And let's remove the default. So now what we're going to do is create a script tag with the language property set to TS. And we're going to import everything we need. And obviously, we're going to import the data from the load function and assign the emojis document or an emojis array. And the default is just going to be the data that we get from the load function. And now we're going to create a reactive statement. So every time this PB object updates and is actually not null, we're actually going to run this command. We're actually going to subscribe to the emojis document. So every time there's a change, we have to update the emojis collection right here. So then we see which emoji it is, right? We get the emoji index and then we just update it. So now we actually create the header, and then we're going to create a div which is just going to be an emoji grid, which is going to be a bunch of forms that we can have, which we can loop through using the each function. So now we're going to create a bunch of forms depending on which emoji it is, and then we're going to use the use enhance hook so that we can get some of the benefits, like we don't need to restart the page every time we subscribe or every time we click the button. So then we're actually going to have an input which is going to pass in the emoji ID. You can see that it matches up to the server function, and then we're going to have a header that contains the emoji, a paragraph that contains the amount of votes, and also a button to help us submit. So now we see that if we see that the user is part of the votes, we say remove vote, but if they're not voted, we just say vote for emoji. And now we're just going to add the style properties right here, but you can always find the code in the GitHub link in the description, so you don't need to follow along with the code as you go. So now we can actually save this and go to the server right here and go to localhost. you can see that we don't have any emojis yet, so that we have to go to the emojis inside Pocketbase. Go over here, let's just have our first emoji. Let's do the eye emoji and let's just create. And let's just create. And now let's create one new one. This is gonna be, let's say, the goat emoji. A new one, and this is gonna be the laughing emoji. This is gonna be the last one, which is gonna be, let's say, the celebrating emoji. So now we can go over here and you can see that we could restart, and you can see now we have the emojis, and we could vote for these emojis, and you could see that we actually voted for them. Now that if we, so now you see that if you actually want to see the real-time capabilities, you can open up another browser right here separately, and now let's create an account inside this browser, which is going to be different. So test2 at email.com. Wait, actually, wait, let me just say test at email.com. Test. Wait, actually, no. This is going to be test2. So now, once we created this, we can actually vote for these emojis, and you can see that it updates in real time in both servers. So now if we remove the vote, if we add the vote, it just updates like that automatically. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this video served you value. Let me know in the comment section down below what you would like to see next. Let me know because I'm looking for ideas. And as always, thank you guys. Have a great day.